exposure, promotion, and marketing too. And advertise for business owners just like you. On Storytime, your interview is global. Virtual or in person, just come on the show. Yo, your story matters. Crystals will open the door. 40 years of experience, ready to give you more on Storytime. Get ready for Storytime. Hey, come on.
Well, hello. Good evening, everybody. How you doing? I know you're probably saying, who is that talking behind this picture? Well, yeah, it's me. I'm coming to you today, and I wanted you to take a good look because I want you to know who we got today. I am here. I am here. I am here. Well, hello, hello, hello. How are you today? It's another edition of Story Time today, and we are so excited. We are so excited. This is the second show with the legends. I came up with something with story time where I just felt like I wanted to acknowledge individuals that I consider to be legends. And let me just start by saying these people do not consider themselves legends. Crystal considers them legends. All right. And, most of them are humble individuals. And they was like, Crystal, no, I said, no, I consider you to be a legend. So I want to state that for the record so everybody understand this is Crystal doing this. Okay. So understand that, please. But I'm excited. Tonight, I have a man that I know by the name of Gary Taylor. If you didn't catch me last week, I did Pup Williams last week, Coach Pup Williams. And this week, I have a young man. He is, oh my God, they call him Gary Rachid Taylor. He's out of Newark, New Jersey. And let me just tell you a little bit about Gary Taylor. He was born to Samuel and Janet Taylor. He's a husband, a father, a grandfather, a brother, an uncle, a teacher. He's an athletic administrator, a basketball coach, and official. He's a mentor and a friend. And many of us know him. We've seen him around the streets of New Jersey. We've even seen him in Raleigh, North Carolina, because he's a definite graduate of what we formerly know as St. Augustine's College. So I want to just start this thing off by seeing where my good buddy is, Gary Taylor, and bring him up to the stage. Hey, how you doing? How
Peace,
you doing?
peace, peace. What's up, Crystal? How are you?
I'm good. How you doing today?
I'm
You got
awake.
that?
I'm alive. I'm doing great.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. That is amazing. Well, I got to tell you, I am so excited to have you here today. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for the opportunity. I know that, like I said, many of you are so humble. Y'all be like, nah, Kristen, no. But I just feel like I want to give people their flowers while they're here. And so how you doing today on January 21st, 8:10 p.m.? How you doing?
I'm feeling great. Honored. During your intro, you kind of answered or made clear one of the questions I had. Like, what do you consider a legend? Because that's not how I see myself. But you made it clear you think I'm a legend, so I'll take that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's what it's all about. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you know of individuals who have done some things that you feel as though is worthy, I mean, contact me, let me know. I mean, sometimes it could be the simple things of life. You know what I mean? People do some simple things. But, Gary, there's nothing simple about you. Let me just tell you that when I looked at that bio, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So first, there are some people who may not have ever met you before. So please, please, please tell the people who is Gary Taylor. I always like to start with the little boy. Who is Gary Taylor from Newark, New Jersey? Who is that guy?
Well, Gary Taylor is just a kid from Newark, who had an opportunity to see the world because of some God-given talents that the Creator gave me, that being basketball, and this opened up a world for me. As you was reading my bio, you talked about being a basketball player, a coach, a mentor. So that's who Gary is, a humble person, someone that's always trying to help other people, help the students, help the community. I feel blessed that I was the athletic administrator at the high school that I played at, that I coached at, that I substitute taught at. So that was just a blessing to try to help, the youth navigate some of the challenges of just growing up in urban Newark, New Jersey. So that's who Gary is.
So let me ask you something, Gary. So coming up as a little guy, small family, big family, how many siblings you have?
Well, two siblings, Michelle and Nicole Taylor. I'm the oldest child of Simon and Janet Taylor. Both my parents are deceased. Miss them dearly. My mom has been 20 years and probably 5 months, and my dad died at 34. So I was 15 when he passed away. But he instilled so much in me in those 15 years. He was a basketball player. In fact, the first time I ever made a shot, I was with my father. He
Wow.
watched me, yeah, yeah. So he watched me play, growing up in the boys' club, and unfortunately, he died of a cerebral brain hemorrhage in 1973.
Wow. It is a blessing. A lot of people don't know how blessed they are. They still have their parents. I don't have my parents either, and you're right. They stay with us. They're near and dear to our heart, but it is truly a soft spot and an empty spot sometimes. But they left so much in us, right? So
Yeah.
you were with your dad when you took your first shot. So how important was that? Like for those people out here who have children that are athletes that may not be present in their children's life, can you just touch on that for a quick second? How important was that to you?
Well, it's important, and it's a memory that I hold dear. When I reflect on where I went, it was that first shot. So, like my youngest son, Raschid, tells me, like, Dad, you put the ball in my hand, so it's just a continuation. My father put it in my hand. I put it in my boys' hands. I have grandchildren. We're trying to, introduce them to athletics, and it may not be basketball. Everybody has different gifts, but it's, to have a man in your life, to have a father in your life, and that's not to take the mom out because, the whole family is created by the mother and the father, but the man in the home, in your life, instilling those values, those morals in you, laying hands on you when necessary, or just a stern talk sometimes. It's immeasurable.
Wow. And you can do that because you have a son and you have grandsons, right? I saw pictures. So how did that feel? Now, do you feel yourself following your father's footsteps?
Yes, and creating my own footsteps. Yesterday was my birthday. I made 66 yesterday, and listening to or reading the things that my sons said about me, thanking me for being in their lives and instilling those values and morals that were instilled in me from not only my father but my mother and my grandmothers. So no, it's a great thing that I did, and you kind of just pay it forward, pay it back, however you just put it in their lives, so that they, once they start to navigate their own lives and go through this journey called life, they'll be able to reflect on some of the things that I may have taught them.
Wow. Now, Gary, they say there's an old cliche that behind every good man is a strong and a good woman. I know that you've been married for some years, and how important is that you find that right person? They call it the rib sometimes, the help meet. Talk to me about your help meet that's been there by your side through raising the children, through all these things that you've achieved out in the community.
I mean, Anisha Saeed Taylor, that's my wife's name. 20 years married. Probably known her since I met her, 86. So we didn't get married until I was 45 years old, but extremely important. I mean, she supports everything that I do. Um, Says sometimes talks too much. I mean, like most women do sometimes, but it's the right thing. She's always trying to say something to the right. Um, I I love the fact that she's a Muslima, a Muslim, because that's our faith, and that's important. They say the family that prays together stays together, and it's not always easy, but that's important to me. My faith is extremely important to me. So yes, my helpmate, my partner, my soulmate, it's extremely important.
So the Muslim faith, I I had an ex-husband who was a Muslim, and I know a lot of people who have the Muslim faith, and it's definitely one. I mean, we know about Louis Farrakhan. A lot of people, faith is important. Period. Some people have different denominations. They believe. A lot of people are spiritual. I don't want to say Christian. Some of them are spiritual, which is we have to have it. How important is it for someone to have some kind of faith, to believe in someone, to have a reason to be optimistic in life and just have hope through the challenges that we face every day?
Um, Extremely important. And for me, it's the essence of who I've become as a man. I always talk about a pyramid, and at the top of my pyramid is my creator. I call him Allah. Allah in Arabic means Arabic. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God Almighty. Part of that pyramid on one side is my family, and on the other side are my friends. And my real good friends are like my family. So spirituality, God, for me, and at 66 years old, and all the trials and tribulations that I've had in my life, and to be standing, sane, progressing, content, it's all because of my belief in my Lord, and I mean, I had the honor and privilege to, have the pilgrimage, make the pilgrimage to Mecca, 26 years ago in 1998, and that's who, you asked early on, who is Gary? That's part of who Gary Rachid Taylor is. Raschid, is my middle name from birth. My grandmother gave me that name. And that's, that's one of the attributes of God, the director, the one that sees things through, so I try to live that. So when, at this point in my life, Crystal, it's the most important thing to me. I don't, you mentioned Louis Farrakhan, it's respect there, but that's not the Muslim that I am, and it's not, Muslim is just part of it, but that's not the Islam that I follow.
Gotcha.
So it's different denominations, different faiths, and Islam is so confusing to some people. And most of the time it's because we grow up in our homes, and our parents, they teach us certain things, but this spiritual journey and the relationship that you have with the creator is a personal one. So yes, you honor your parents, but if they're not, if you find something that works for you, that's better, and you think it's truth, then you follow that. And I think if the world was a better place, and we honored, God and family and values, and we weren't trying to always oppress people, the world would be better. So for me, I'm content, right, with what my belief system is. And one of the things about contentment, it's like a man having goal and everything that they want. So that inner peace
Mm-hmm.
that you strive for, that's what I have in my life.
Wow. Well, I saw your is it your daughter in Medina? Is that your daughter?
Now,
That's one. Mm-hmm.
Medina is my oldest granddaughter,
Oh, wow.
grandchild, I should say, and granddaughter. She's the first. I have two sons. Gary is my oldest son. Raschid is my middle son, and then Jessica is my daughter. But Medina is my granddaughter, and she's one of seven grandchildren, and she's the oldest. And
Wow.
Medina she's doing her thing.
Well, she definitely did put a comment in there, and someone else put a comment. His name, Prodigal International. He said Gary Taylor is indeed a legend, Proud to call him a classmate. He was a legend before St. Aug, at St. Aug, and in Newark, and in New Jersey, and the ball community, and so much after as a result of St. Aug. A good man. And I see Michelle, a young lady named Michelle Taylor. She said, congratulations to you. So I know you have a lot of love and a lot of respect.
Yeah, that's my sister.
Yeah. So let's get down to it. Let me ask you something. So as a child, uh, I know basketball is so much a part of who you are, by you being a basketball coach and an athletic administrator, a phenomenal player because you played basketball too. I mean, that's how I met you. I met you back in the day where with some guys, and we're gonna get into it. Because guys, I'm gonna give you a sneak peek real quick. We're gonna talk about that picture right there. We're gonna talk about that picture, but we're gonna wait a while before we do that. But before we get to the college level, talk to me about before you even got to West Side High. Was you balling when you was in
Yeah, well, Crystal, one of the most important things in my development, as a basketball player, as an athlete, because basketball wasn't the sport that I loved the most. I actually loved football more than basketball, until I got my arm broke, and that's when I decided to concentrate on basketball. But growing up in the West Side Boys Club, 161 Littleton Avenue, after we moved off of Badger Avenue up into 283 South 9th Street, that 4-block walk to the Boys Club every day was where I honed and developed my skills and my love for athletics and camaraderie and friendship and teammates and all those things. That boys club was an essential part of me growing up. And just like, as I said, that was our safe haven, every day. And I'm sure most athletes had that. They had a safe haven, but we learned everything there. We learned how to play ping pong, pool, swim, box, play basketball, football, baseball, board games, everything. It was because of the West Side Boys Club, and exposure that I got there wasn't just limited to Newark, New Jersey. Like, we traveled to Massachusetts, Philadelphia, Virginia, Brooklyn, Manhattan, everywhere to play ball. So that was an integral part of my development and part of, who I become as a man, because not only did we learn athletics there, we learned about sportsmanship and friendship and, caring, about other people on your teams. And, when you're on teams and you get your little crew together, now you got other parents pouring into you. So that 1969 to about, I went to high school 72. So those 3 years, all of those kind of things were, implanted in me as a part of my younger journey before going into high school.
Your son sent you a shout out. I see he said loving the interview. There goes Gary Taylor Jr. I see the love. I see the support. I see the support from the family. That's all right, y'all. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's important. Because you know what? Sometimes we get older and the children don't want nothing to do with us. So that says a lot. The grandbaby is out here. The son is out here. So that says a lot. So the boys club, the boys and girls club, they are important. They do a lot for the parents, and that's good. So I did put out there that you put that shout out to them. So that was really good. Now I gotta ask you, so you played in high school. Was there a coach or somebody that helped you to make that transition from football to basketball, since you had such a love for football? How did that transition take place? I mean, did you begin to start going to more basketball games? Did you try out for the team, or did somebody push you? I mean, how did you make that transition?
Yeah, we just, like, whatever the sport was, whatever the season was, that's what we played. And because of the boys club, friendships were developed. And whatever our friends were doing, you were doing. So, of course, there was coaches there. With basketball, Clarence Stewart, Mr. Stewart taught me how to shoot. He saw something in me, and I listened, and that's where I honed those skills at. But it was that righteous competition within the boys club. Watching the older guys play. You were on the biddy basketball team. And they got Moose League, and once you moved up a little bit, you were on the bench with the older guys, and then when your turn came, it's just a natural progression. So that's what it was. Mr. Stewart, Al Fagan, Charlie Meadows, at 13th Avenue. Those were Lefty, because again, I never went to camp, but it was so much basketball around the different wards in Newark. And they had something called Essex County Park Commission back then, ECPC. And Lefty and Fudge, they took us all over Newark playing, being adjacent to East Orange, and we went everywhere to play. Harry James, another coach up in East Orange. Who else? David Hayes, my high school coach. It was just, who else? Joe Wilson. He was one of
Wow.
the older guys, that saw talent in me and came to get me and started me playing with the older guys. That's how you got good. It wasn't no 5-star basketball camp to me. It was just grinding in Newark and starting at the boys club, and then the exposure from the unit director taking us around to different places to play, and my friends, just growing up, with those guys. My man Darrell Lott, that's my brother today. Me and him used to just go at it. Jerome Clark, Danny Stubbs, Paul Sanders.
Wow. They pushed you, huh? They
Yeah, they
got you
pushed
out
him.
there and pushed
Lionel
you.
Banks, Charlie Long. Yeah, it was a lot of guys in that boys club, and we just went at it. But like again, it was because it was a safe haven to play, and above all of that, God gives people specific talents and lanes to be in, and God just put something in me with that basketball.
So
So
let me ask you this. So when I met you in Newark, there was so much talent that came out of Newark, New Jersey. Oh my goodness. I had no idea. And can you talk about that for a minute? Where all that talent come from that's coming out of Newark? I mean, what is
well,
it about Newark, New Jersey? Because y'all got some players, y'all got some ballers in Newark. There's a couple people who are on the map from Newark. Can you tell the people who may not know about some people who came from Newark that are doing some things? Because I know there's quite a bit, and we're going to get into the things that you've done. But I know there's some people, and I remember a name of a person I met from Newark that's no longer with us, and I'm sure he may have been a person that has something to do with you somewhere along the line. That's Charlie Logan. You know, I know he did some things in the community and things like that. So
yeah, I
talk to
got
me.
to sit up. Yeah, I got to sit up for that one. Uh, Charles Logan, CeeLo, Abdul Salam. Um, man, passed away in 2006. Let me just go back, Crystal. We didn't meet in Newark. We met at St. Aug. You just came over to Newark.
Wow.
Uh, but Charlie Logan is the reason that I attended St. Augustine's College, which is now St. Augustine's University. The story is this. I went to Iowa Western Community College out in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Average almost 20 points a game, 19.6. Had some issues out there. I was getting ready to go to Essex County College. In fact, I worked out for the legendary Cleo Hill,
Mm-hmm.
who's a Winston-Salem graduate, coached Essex County College, played for the St. Louis Hawks. With all the racism and stuff that existed back then, he was kind of blackballed. But anyway, Mr. Hill, he has his own story. He's a legend. You can look him. He's a true legend. But I worked out for Mr. Hill. Went to see him. He said, "Look, just come get evaluation of your game." When I got in there, he said, "You just need to work on your left hand." When we finished talking, I opened the door. CeeLo was on the other side. And you know him with that. Yo, G, what you doing, boy? What you doing? That's how he talk. You getting ready to go here? You might as well come to St. Aug. You going to go to a 4-year school anyway. That was CeeLo, right? So
Yeah.
that was Thursday, right? Sunday, me, CeeLo, Mike, who was another Newark guy, played baseball at St. Aug, and y'all call him World, but I don't never call Marv Cook World. That's just Marv Cook. We all ended up at St. Augustine's College that Sunday. After that, it really wasn't a chance him being on the other side. I don't believe in coincidence. Everything is destiny. He was there. God put him there, and that's how I ended up at St. Aug in 1978, and that's when you and I met.
And I didn't even know that Charlie Logan had anything to do with you going to St. Aug. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we just don't know. I just follow the spirit when I do things, So that's interesting to find that out. Now, I got to ask you, you somehow made a way to not only just continue to make a difference in the lives of your people at the school that you coach, because I know that you coach and you are athletic director at the school. How long you been there?
Well, no, I retired in July of 2022 for the second time, because I retired the year before that, went back, and I'm actually back there now just substituting, but I was the athletic administrator from 2008 to 2022, which was 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that whole journey was excellent and part of my growth, and I love the fact that I was at the place where not the place, but the school that I coached at, that I played at, that I substitute taught at, and then finally became the athletic administrator or athletic director at the school. I was over all the athletics there.
So let's talk about that for a minute. So the school there, you left the school. We're gonna take it up a notch before we go back. So you also graduated from St. Augustine's College in 1981, and you was a Mighty Falcon on that team. And I put up that picture a minute ago, and in that picture, there's so many people and there's so many things that y'all did. I know that y'all went and y'all were doing some amazing things. Can you talk about that part of your life and what meeting these individuals and playing with these individuals did for you? Because I know there's so much love and camaraderie with the Falcons. I see it every year during homecoming, being from the same HBCU as you. Can you talk about that for a minute, please?
Yeah, when I look at that photo, my heart smiles. When I see, Anthony Bogan, Reginald McFarland, Warren Brown, Jeff Gorman, Ben Johnson, Darryl Smith, Darryl Lynham, Leonard Orr's on that picture, who's no longer with us, Huggy Bear, who passed away, William Donald Cooper. Like that part of my life, it just, my heart just feels it's special. Those are bonds that can't be broken. Those are bonds that have withstood the test of time. I'm closer with some of them, with a few of them more than others, but it's a mutual respect for that team. That team, 24/7, should go down in the St. Aug Hall of Fame. So we were District 26 champions. We went to Kansas City, won a game and lost, but we were Southern Division CIAA champs. We were runner-ups in the CIAA finals in '80. We went up to Virginia Union, and they hadn't lost in their gym in 5 years, and beat them, and then they beat us in the championship. But that was a special time in my life. That was a special team. I'm kind of plugging us for the entry into the Hall of Fame because we deserve it. I mean, we're champion. It's
Yes.
hard to win a championship.
Yes.
But that's something nobody can ever discount, can ever take away. And it's special. And you're right. When we come to homecoming and we're together, it's like you those teenagers again. You in those early 20s again. It's nothing but love. It's no hate. People are glad to see one another. They're glad that they're being seen instead of viewed because we're still alive. And that was just oh man, part of my legacy.
Yes.
It's just very, very special.
We need to push for that, guys. Now that St. Aug has a Hall of Fame, we need to push for that. We need to push for that team to go there because a lot of people may not know. A lot of times when you have turnover and you have a change of people in leadership, sometimes they really don't know all the details about what people did, what teams did what. That's why I love some of the things that Pup William was sharing last week about the school. And I learned some things about him because I didn't know he had been in all the positions, but he was sharing some interesting things. And you just shared some things about the team and the accolades and the championship and the things they did that nobody else did. Those were records that were broken. Okay. So we need to do that. When y'all go back and y'all replay this, if you are somebody that's in a position, let's have those conversations about how we can do that for these guys while they're still living. Some people never get recognized for the things they do. And that's why I love this platform that I created. And, I say it's for ordinary people doing extraordinary things. There may be some higher institutions and agencies that do some things, but I feel as though recognition is recognition and love is love, you know. But now, Gary, you did some things in Newark where I read about you that was just unbelievable. I know that when you graduated as a native of Newark and you went to, of course, to West Side, but then West Side has been so much a part of you, and now there's the tournament there that's named after you that's been going on now called the Rough Rider Holiday Classic, which has been happening about 8 years. It'll be 9 years this year. Let's talk about that. How did that make you feel, and how in the world did you get a tournament named after you, Gary?
Well, it's called the Gary R. Taylor West
Oh,
Side
the
Rough
name is
Rider.
in it too? Okay.
Yeah, JV Classic. Well, the emphasis, I started it, but the emphasis is always on the varsity level teams. So, if a junior varsity player isn't as talented to be on a varsity team, during the holidays, if they're not in tournaments, they're kind of sitting back. So we started something at Westside, and first was just the Rough Rider Classic. We started out with 8 teams. The next year I got 12, and I got it up to 16 teams. And then just before leaving, I renamed it, put my name on the front of it, and it's supported by the Newark Board of Education, Department of Physical Education, Health and Athletics. Elizabeth Arangel, she's the director, so she supports it. She gets the trophies for it. And
Wow.
it's not just Newark teams. We have Hillside. They come in and play. Payne Tech, Donald Payne, former congressman. The school is named after him. Their team won it this year. So it's just to give the kids a platform to play, display their own talents and abilities, and give them something to do during the winter break. So I'm just grateful that I got the support. I'm grateful to the teams and the athletic directors that support it, and I hope it's something that'll just continue.
So, Gary,
Yeah.
do you think that plays a part in lowering the crime rate by giving
Uh,
them something to something positive to make them have something to kind of stay out of trouble? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I would say that, for those student athletes that are involved in it, because if you're not doing something positive, devil's always picking. Somebody's always going. Let's go rob somebody. Let's go steal a car. Let's do something that we'll be sorry for later on. But you're not thinking when you're young. So yes, I would say it helps to keep them doing positive things, instead of the alternative.
Wow. So not only did you start that, but the school has inducted you into the Westside High School Hall of Fame. So
Yeah,
my goodness. So now I said you were a legend, but apparently some people in Newark feel the same way too, because everybody don't get inducted into a Hall of Fame. So that's a beautiful thing to have that in your own home state, so that people you grew up with that may look up to you, your children, your grandchildren, they can always go back and see that. They can always go back and say, that was my dad. That is my
yeah.
dad. So how did that feel? And what would you tell somebody it takes to get inducted into a Hall of Fame?
Well, there's the criteria that has to be met. It's West Side is West Side is not just athletics. You have professional development, you have legends, you have teams. Like, there's 6 categories, and I just happened to fit into one of them at West Side. I mean, I was an all city basketball player, all county basketball player back in 1976, and that's the standard. That's what it took to get into the West Side Hall of Fame. That happened in 2018 or 19, but in 2011, I was inducted into the Newark Athletic Hall of Fame. So, I'm in a couple of Hall of Fames. I'm humbled and blessed for that. I don't put myself in anything. I had to have the ability and talent, and I met the criteria. But it feels good, to be recognized by your colleagues, your peers. Like my story, like the athletic administrator at the school that you played at, coached at, became the administrator at. That's dear to my heart, and it's special, and I'm humbled by it. It doesn't make my head blow up anything, but I'm humbled that I was chosen, that I had the ability, that is positive, and that I can say to younger Rough Riders coming up, because somebody got to sit in that seat that I sat in.
Wow.
Whoever's there now, they're not going to be there at some point. Who better than someone that knows the landscape? My principal there, Akbar Cook, he always refer to me as the old Yoda, the old Jedi, because I've been around there, and I survived like 9 different principles. I'm
Wow.
still there. One day I went to work, and quiet. I turned my computer on, and I'm just silent. I'm like, God, why am I here? And it just came back. Just keep doing what you're doing. In the right place, at the right time, and doing the right thing. That's what I try to do. Whatever I do, that's what I'm always trying to do.
So you said something. You said I survived. I visited that school. I'm trying to think. I think that's the school Debbie Deb took me to. Is that the school where Debbie Deb was working with Ness over there with the West Side, or was she at another school?
Yeah, Dad went to Malcolm X Shabazz, so
Okay,
I'm
so
not
she was at
sure where
Savannah.
she took you yet, but she went to Shabazz.
Okay, so but I've been over in Newark, and when you say survived, I done seen some stuff. Market Street, I done been through them
Yeah.
streets, and I see what it's like. And some people, if you've never been to Newark, New Jersey, it survive is an appropriate word when you say you survive in the school system, Gary. It's a little rough these days. Some school systems have detectives for metal detectors because of the guns and things coming into school. There's
Mhm.
a lot of violence in the school, drugs in the school. So talk about that for a minute, and talk about how important it is for teachers and the job they do, and even the coaches, and what parents can do that may be watching this to help with keeping that under control.
When I said survive, I'll answer your question. But when I said survive, the context of what I was speaking of had to do with the advent of magnet schools and charter schools. Like the whole landscape changed. You had outsiders coming in and trying to take over and really just take over Newark. So that's what I meant by surviving. But Newark is a place where, like other urban cities, where there's violence at, where the homes are being led by parents. There are not a lot of men in the homes. So kids come to school with a lot of issues and problems caused by poverty. That's what I see. So it's very important that teachers understand that. Um, you have the metal detectors. That's for everybody's safety. It's for the kids, or the students, the teachers, the administrators. At our school, we have a strong security staff. We have a strong principal. We have some teachers that have been there for a long time. So when you develop these relationships with the kids, you can kind of talk them down. But truthfully, Crystal, like I just went back in May, and
Mhm.
sometimes I'm shaking my head like a bobblehead because our kids have so many issues now. Um, Unlike when we grew up, like
Right.
wasn't gangs and all that stuff. Like jokers can fight. You might have got stabbed or something, but it can
It's
be
a little
very
different.
dangerous, very dangerous with killings and stabbings and all of that. And it's been in the West Water, Newark, where I grew up at. It has occurred. So I'm not trying to paint a pretty picture, but again, I survived it. I was able to navigate it, and a lot of kids gonna have to do the same thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, and you know what, Gary? We came up using our hands. Like these
Yeah.
kids don't know how to use their hand.
Nah.
Like, oh my goodness, I tell my kids, like, we really did come up using our hands for those of us who did. But now I noticed in reading there was so many other things that you got recognized for. I mean, the city of Newark proclaimed March 20th, 2002 as Gary Rachid Taylor Day by Mayor Sharp Jones. How the
And
heck you managed that one, Nick? So wait a minute. You got a tournament named after you. You got a couple of Hall of Fame inductions. Now you got a day in Newark named after you. What in the world? How you do that, Gary?
well, what happened? When I transitioned from being a supervisor at University Hospital, I went into um, the school system, no public schools at the time, and it was a day when school was over. I was on my way to a math workshop, it was orientation, and as I'm proceeding down the street, I see this car coming at me, Crystal. And so
Wow.
I turned to the right, and as soon as I turned, all I heard was a crash. And this stolen car, kid killed a couple of members in the family, and I watched them, and I followed them, and I grabbed them, and I'm like, that was my family. Young kid, took them back to the scene. Look what you did. Took them to the police station, and then I went on to my math class. The next day, the mayor walked into my classroom, and then for a couple of weeks, it was like a whirlwind in Newark, just being celebrated by the police, the municipality, the school district, and that's not what I wanted. That's not what I did it for. I care about my community. Not afraid of the kids. I care about people having a quality of life. So I was just, we talked about, or I talked about, I don't believe in, coincidences. It's destiny. I was in the right spot at the right time, and I tried to do the right thing. The young man may not have thought that, but he was so young, and when asked what happened, they told him, they meaning the older guys, to get rid of the car. And a youth just had a bad experience that day, and unfortunately, people lost their lives.
Wow.
So
And as a result of that, they named the day after that. You know what? But that's why I put up a minute ago about congratulations to you for all your good deeds and everything that you've done, because you don't think about yourself. Now, you said something. You said you care about the students and the children. It's a rough world out there, but we still have to make sure if we see something, we say something or we do something. And that's what you've been doing. You've been doing something actively in the community. So I say kudos to you for that. You know,
thank you.
that is really, really amazing. And I noticed that you also received a couple of more things, so this is why I said, wow, I said, he been doing something. So then you turned around in Newark Public School proclamation. They have they said Mr. Gary Rachid Taylor, a champion for children on the 26th day of March 2002 by Marlon Bolden, the superintendent of schools. So then you got a proclamation too.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was the result of that whole culmination of that event. And like I said, it was a whirlwind. News 12, I mean, City Hall, you know, just acknowledgement of the deed that I did, and hit the newspaper, interviews and things like that. Um, I mean, I
So
just,
that's so the message that I'm hearing from you is we got to do our part. We have to do our part as a citizen, and then some of us are becoming senior citizens as we get up in the 60s and stuff, but we have to do our part. We still have to help. We got to reach back and give back, and we have to encourage, and we have to inspire, and we have to give pep talks. And Gary, when we came up, there was such thing as people walking down the street, and there would be people sitting on the stoop, and there would be somebody on the stoop, or you had the people on the block, and if you didn't do something, or your parents didn't catch you, somebody else on the block would correct you. But we
right.
don't have that in the community, that village mentality in the community. So what would you say to people about that, like about how they can really become a little bit more of a mentor, because you are truly a mentor, and we need more male role models like you out here doing these things. What would you say to those people who maybe have retired coaches, retired ball players who are sitting at home, they're retired, they have time on their hand? What would you say to them? What do they need to get out and do to help contribute to less stolen cars and less crimes?
Well, that's one reason I went back to work to kind of substitute, because for me, retirement is kind of overrated. I mean, after your doctor's appointments and going to the gym and all those things, it's 24 hours in a day and you're not going to sleep all of them. But, definitely legends, elders have to pick venues to help, to come back to, I mean, if you get one kid, there's something I learned playing basketball, like each one teach one, right? And for me, I added reach one, right? So
Mm.
each one teach one and go back and reach one. So that reach one can be helping somebody get into the school, because you have the contacts that can be pointing that student in the right direction by telling your story. Like you're talking about all the good things, Crystal, but Gary Taylor got no credits in the ninth grade. All right.
Mm.
I had to play the catch up game. My ninth grade, I mean, my senior year, I had to go to school from first period to ninth period and to central night for half a year in order to graduate. The difference in me and what I accomplished in the kids now, kids aren't on grade level with reading. So it wasn't always this rosy story for myself. What's embedded in me is to not give up, to not stop trying, to want to make something out of your life. So you ask the elders, those retired teachers, and just concerned parents. should always find a venue where they can come back and say something to the right. You know, a lot of times that's all it is. Even when I was in the school system before retiring every day, and the new group of kids come in, I would tell them, first thing, understand I'm not afraid of y'all, but I'm here to help you. You know, I can teach you from experience how to play the catch-up game if you have to. You know, but I instill in them, you don't want to play the catch-up games, because coming back from all F's or all D's is real hard, especially if you're an athlete. You know, so you gotta care about your community. You want to instill the correct things into the youth, because you know that old adage, the youth are our future. You want to say something to the right to them to kind of help them navigate, you know, some of the confusions that's in, you know, the neighbors, you know, in the neighborhood.
Well, I thank you for your transparency, because a lot of times people don't know the ugly part. They don't know the mistakes. They don't know about the setbacks. They don't know about the regrets. They don't know about the things we wish we could turn back the hand
Yeah.
of time, for. So when you said that, that's important. Any
No,
other
everybody.
valuable
Let
lesson?
me. Everybody wish they can do some do overs. If you can
Yes,
get a chance to do some things over, you know, and that's only after, you know, going through the trials and tribulations of life. See, it's never where you start, it's where you finish. Like, it's a
right.
beginning, it's a middle, and it's an end. And that's what I try to teach. You know, not try it. I've taught my children. You know, like, listen, it's not where you start. You got to grind out here. Nobody's gonna give you anything. Most of the time, people try to take your stuff. You
That's
know,
right.
but everybody in this universe, God has something with just Crystal Bodie's name on it, with just Gary Taylor's name on it. You gotta go get it. It's not gonna come knock on your door. You know, when you fought, like, life is, you have to be the same person through adversity and prosperity. And that's just keeping that balance. You know, so in my 66 years of living, that's how those type of traits I have instilled in me. And I try to teach them to my children, my grandchildren, or somebody else's children or grandchildren, if they'll listen. You know, so that's it. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Oh
I
no,
thought it
no,
important.
no. That's
Yeah.
important. So anything that you can take back, what would that be? If there was anything that if you had to go back and do it all over again, would you change anything?
Definitely. Definitely. Since we been uh yeah, some things I would take back. You know, I think, huh?
Everything is a lesson or a
Yeah,
blessing. And
yeah.
sometimes you have some things, sometimes people are, they really don't get that some things, it makes us who we are. Like, some mistakes, we had to make those mistakes because that's what built character in us. And then there's something that we could have avoided. Do you agree?
Well, definitely that. Like, you know, I kind of hesitated, you know, and the hesitation is because, you know, you start using drugs, you know, reefer or marijuana, which is legal now, and then it goes through other things. And so when that kind of hit a plug in with me, because I know
Good.
that kind of stunted a whole lot of growth for me and my possibilities of where basketball could have taken me. Like I was, most people that knew me thought that I was that guy that was gonna make it, and I wasn't. I was just playing basketball. Like I wasn't. You know, I always used Clyde the Glide Austin, who played at North Carolina State, and Hawkeye Whitney. Those guys, they were all in school when we were there, and you know that was their destiny. That's you know, they was at those Division I schools, and they was grinding to get there. You know, I ended up at a Division II school. Not that I didn't have that ability to play at a D1 school. I played against a lot of them, and you know, we in the pro leagues and stuff. And I was MVP a couple of years. But if I hadn't stunted my own growth by picking up and following behind, you know, my peers, because it wasn't the guy in the corner, hey kid, you wanna You want to get high, try this. It wasn't that. It was doing what my boys was doing,
Right.
not having the strength enough to say, no, man, I'm not doing that. Like now I'm going to say, no, I'm not doing that. And that's what because no is powerful. When you say no and then don't even give it no thought, you'll bypass, that thing that may stunt your growth, So, yeah, if I had a chance to go back to high school, starting high school, I would pay attention. I would have played 4 years of basketball instead of two. I would have scored 1,000 points, because I had that ability. But that's the things that I missed because the focus that I have now I didn't have back then. So yes, and that's to keep it a buck, like they say. Just doing the wrong thing, picking up the appetites and stuff that you like. You're not supposed. I had a friend of mine, Rudolph Murray. This is my brother. I love him. He said his aunt told him, "You're not supposed to touch everything. You're not supposed to taste everything. You're not supposed to smell everything." So we talking about things coming through the senses, right? And I wish I wouldn't experience some of those things. I'm where I'm supposed to be because I got a beautiful life. Like I'm content, but it kind of stunted the growth and getting there a little ahead of time. If I would have been on that straight path, in Islam we call it the Sirat al-Mustaqim. If I would have been on that straight path without all of those deviations and side roads and stuff, but I got back on the right path and I'm happy with my life. And my mother said something to me because I remember the looks of disappointment that I put on her face. She said, I don't say a whole lot, but I want you to know that I love the man that you become. That's more than a million I love you. Getting that from my mother, because Janet Taylor, she was like, if you wasn't SHIT, she was going to tell you wasn't SHIT. So to hear that from her and know that her only son, she was proud of him and how I changed my life, with those trials and tribulations, that means everything to me.
Wow. That was valuable. I hope somebody caught that. Parents out there, the affirmation, the words of affirmation is a language of love, and children need to hear that. And a lot of times they don't get it because you don't condone the things they're doing. And so sometimes it appears to be conditional love instead of unconditional, because sometimes we don't like the way they go, but it is so important that we still show love, express love, tell love to our children, and let them know that we're proud of them and still don't take your hands off them. They need to know that you're there when they go through these things. There's so many children without parents, without guidance, and there's so many children with parents and they still don't have guidance because there's children raising children in a lot of cases. So I'm
Yeah,
glad that.
grandma 34 instead of 64. That be the problem, So
And grandma out there in the club with the kids and smoking with
ain't
the kids
ain't,
and
yeah, ain't
doing
no
this
more
stuff.
big mama and stuff, like we had growing up. Things have changed, but you still gotta get in where you fit in, and when you see something, say something.
Yes.
So even with your own kids, when because being grown is not when you 18 and 21. It's still a whole lot of growing that has to take place, and it's from the cradle to the grave. You can learn every day, but you got to be open to listening, like not just hearing. Everybody hears because they have ears, right? But listening is a skill, and it's important. So even with our children and our grandchildren, even though they 50 and 40 and got children, then you got to still come and get these pearls of wisdom that only come with growing up. So
Wow. I don't know if y'all caught what he just said, but I never heard nobody say it like that. I have never heard nobody say it like what Gary just said. I'm about to put that up there, and you might need to put that on a T-shirt or something. But he said, my. If you didn't catch what he just said, he said from the cradle to the grave. He said we learn from the cradle to the grave. That was deep. That was deep. And a lot of people, they take a lot of their ideas and everything with them to the grave. So we can't do that, you know. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. Now, Gary, I've been asking you a lot of questions and I've been acknowledging a lot of things that you have done. Is there anything that you have experienced traveling, going places, and just in all these roles you played that stuck out with you the most? What has impacted your life the most out of everything that you have achieved, everything that you have been through, every place you have gone? What has impacted you the most?
Hmm. I mean, coming, born and raised in Newark. I mean, I lived in Los Angeles, California, Raleigh, North Carolina, Council Bluffs, Iowa. If you can make it in Newark, you can make it anywhere. I've been on probably 26 cruises. I've seen all those Caribbean islands. I was just in Italy. I mean, as big as the world is, it's small. The
Mm,
thing that has impacted my life the most is the relationship that I have with Allah, with God Almighty. I mean, going to Mecca in 1998 and seeing humanity, seeing the Africans, seeing the Turks, seeing the Indonesians, um, learning um, about God and how you're supposed to behave as a human being. Um, like I love God so much, Crystal. Um, I tell people we got both feet in the grave. We just haven't laid down yet.
mm.
And all the toil and struggle, um, we're going back to our creator. I've watching I had two of the best grandmothers, maternal and paternal grandmothers. Well, my mother died suddenly. My grandmother went to my aunt. My aunt died, and then she came to me, and we took care of her. So I saw that her go back to that. They say, twice a baby. I
Yes.
saw that. I
Yes.
saw
Yes.
that with my grandmother, but it gave me such joy to know that we didn't have to put her away. Like she was right here and she was loved, and it wasn't just me taking care of her. My sisters, my sons. Wifey said, "Look, we got Nana all week. Everybody else need to step up on the weekends." And my sisters were there, my children were there. And we took her back to Georgia and stuff. So the thing again, let me go back. God put that in me. To do that. That relationship that you have with the Creator, and I'm talking to your audience, should be the most important thing in your life. It's not about the material things. I got $10,000 worth of clothes in there that I done had made over the years. None of that means anything right now. You can't take it with you. You know,
That's
um,
important. That's important. Say
it's
that
not
again.
important. Like all those things that we think, houses, women, money, none of that stuff. I'm older now. I mean, like I said, I'm just so content. I don't have no bills. I saw this stuff 4 or 5 years ago. I don't have all this credit card debt and everything. Like, I'm in a good place and I'm
Wow.
happy and I'm content.
So that's
So
woo.
to bring it back in, the relationship that's the moat that I have with God Almighty. And of course, my friendships. I got some friendships with some beautiful people and lifelong friends over 50 years in some instances and 40 years in some instances. Yes, that's important, but at the top, the apex is God.
Wow. You said being debt free,
Wow.
having flexibility, retired twice,
Hmm.
friendship, traveled the world. Material things don't mean nothing anymore. The girls, none of that stuff. All those experiences, but the relationship with the man upstairs is the most valuable of them all. That's 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 amazing. That's important. People need to understand that too. Some people don't have a relationship. They are lost. They don't understand. They don't have anybody that they look up to. And so I make an appeal to you. If you hear what he said,
Mhm.
find a connection. If you're not a person that goes to church, if you don't go to the mosque, if you don't have anything, get with somebody, find a way, but you definitely need some direction. You need some direction. It will change your life. It will give you that peace that you see that he has, a peace and contentment that you hear him speak of. Because as you get older, you don't want to be stressed. You want to look at somebody that gives you the example of what it's supposed to be like. And you heard him say, uh, he managed his life, he managed it, so that's what it's about, management. So I commend you for getting to where you are right now, Gary. A lot of people need to hear that and understand that's what retirement's supposed to look like, y'all.
Yeah.
That's what retire. It's not supposed to look like when you look and you go into these stores and you see people. I mean, some people go back to work. Some people go back to work because they have to. And then some people do what Gary did. They go back because they feel as though they're not being useful and they still want to give back and do something with their time. They don't want to sit around because they don't want to get out of shape and they want to remain healthy and moving, because it is important that we keep moving too.
Sure.
So as we get ready to kind of bring this to a close, I want to ask you a couple more things, just maybe two more questions. And one of them is about health. A lot of people say health is wealth. Health is wealth. And a lot of people don't understand what that means. And mental health is really a big part of that too. And so I see you out here walking and doing the exercise, meditating, doing all those things. How important is it to maintain our health and as a form of our wealth as we age?
Yeah, extremely important. In fact, after God, that should be the next thing that you're doing. Like Crystal, I've had 8 knee surgeries, right? Double knee replacements, heart attack in September 2020, got 2 stents put in, laminectomy on the neck in 2020, and 2 years ago I got the low back done. When I when I when I stop moving, it's gonna be because I can't move. Like the summertime, I'm out walking 4 or 5 miles every day. Um, I got a gym down in my basement. I was down there this morning. I'm a member of a gym. I'm trying to master the eating, because the eating is the thing that really kind of either puts you in the right place or takes you back. But you know, I move a little slower than I used to, but I'm still moving. So health is wealth is very important, and you're supposed to take care of your health while you can, because when you get older, with all these, Alzheimer's and dementia, and
Woo,
you just don't know what's going to be on your plate, and everybody is going to have something on their plate, and their stuff is going to be their stuff.
that's the,
So you better try to keep your mental clarity together, your emotions intact. Um, Most of the time with problems and challenges is our reaction to it anyway. You
yes,
know, you know,
yeah,
hard times don't last, but hard people do.
that's right.
So that's just the advice that I can do.
Wow.
God taking care of your health, building family, and instilling that in them, and you got to participate, even with family, man. Like sometimes family get on your nerves, and everybody got their stuff, to do, but you got to make time for everything and everybody, especially when it comes to family, because that's who's going to be the closest to you at the end anyway. So you want to
Wow.
cultivate those relationships.
What's your motto?
Mm. Pray hard, play hard, and stay humble.
Mm.
Got that on. I put that on my T-shirt. I learned something from Coach Harvey Hartley. Coach used to have all these writings on his board. But Coach said, conceive, believe, and work to receive. You know, prior
Mm.
preparation prevents poor performance. Those
Mm.
are the 5 things, the 5 P's. But
Mm.
Charlie Logan said it's 6 P's. It's proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. So those are my models. Family first. I'll do anything for my family within reason. That's legal. We ain't doing nothing illegal. You know, but those are my models, man. Don't do anything to shame your family name,
Mm.
right?
Mm. Say that
Don't
again. Wow.
Yeah, don't do anything to shame your family name. So those are just some of the things that I incorporate in my life. Learning, being open. I don't know everything, but I know a whole lot of stuff. And,
Wow.
and I even told my kids, look, I got a lot of advice for y'all if y'all want it. If you don't, then I'll give it to the grandkids. So
Look at that. Look at that. Charlie Logan's daughter is here. She just put a post up. Isn't that something? You
April,
never
hey
know who
niece,
you
hey
never know who
niece.
you never know who you're gonna. And April, I don't know if you heard, he talked about Charlie and he gave him his props for
Yeah.
getting the region to come in. And you see, that's why sometimes it's good to do stuff like this. And sometimes we gotta tell the stories. We have to keep the legacy going. It has to continue. The names need to be mentioned in the room. People need to know about these people and things they did. So I thank you so much for doing that. And I'm so glad that April saw that for sure. And I just have one more question for you. So when you're not going to stop moving, but when you decide to retire again at the school, when you decide to just chill out and just do Gary and not look around as much and not give back as much, what do you want the people to say about Gary Raschid Taylor?
No, my phone started ringing. Hold on 1 minute, because I don't want to lose you.
Oh no,
Um,
you're fine. You're fine.
okay, yeah. So I didn't hear your question though. What did you say?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So the question is, when you stop moving, when you stop working in the schools, when you stop doing all the things you do to give back and mentoring and doing everything, what do you want the people to say about Gary Raschid Taylor?
Oh man, Gary loved God. Gary was a good person. Gary would help if he could. Anybody from the bum on the street that asked for $1 to the man that has it all. Like that, like Gary was a good person. He cared about people. He cared about his people. I care about, justice. Um, I want people to just know that, he passed through this life and he left his mark, you know.
Well, listen, I just want to tell you thank you so much for just sharing with us. And I want to give you the opportunity, if it's something that I didn't ask you that you would like to let the people know, whether it's an event you have coming up, a book that you need to be writing about your life story, whether it is anything on your heart that you want to say, I will give you the opportunity to do that.
What's on my heart right now is everything that is occurring at St. Augustine's University in
Mm.
Raleigh, North Carolina right now. Um, Allegedly, the board of trustees have not been doing the right thing at our institution. Our school has lost their
I'll let you repeat that because your phone might not be on do not.
yeah.
Yes,
Can
sir.
Yeah, our school has lost their accreditation, even though it's being appealed. There are several groups that are trying to help, and they need to come together. Those stakeholders need to come together and stop thinking that one group knows more than the other group. That's how they always beat us, because they divide and conquer us. What hurts the most is the people that are the trustees. If what's occurring and they're the reasons behind it, then that just kills me, because this is an institution that nurtured, you know, um, many of the professionals now that are in the world. And how could you do this? How could you sit there and act like it's all right, and you bring people in, and you just keep perpetuating this nonsense that we didn't have when Prozell Robinson was there, when Dr. Davis was there, when Dr. Brown and Roundtree and Mabel Matthews and Miss Wright, all of these teachers, Mr. Goodwin, our instructors, when there was love and there was family on the campus of St. Augustine's College, and it's just the mismanagement that has occurred. And all these things I'm finding out since I left homecoming in October, So that's what's on my heart right now. And again, there are various groups, various alumni that are working together. Stop talking about each other. Come together, talk to each other. I was there at St. Aug in October, and we had a national alumni meeting. Listen, it was too many of us there, and it wasn't nothing but passing out some prizes, and you couldn't ask no questions. Like, come on, if like we said it early on, Chris. If you know something, say something, because if not, you complicit. You complicit in that. So that's what's on my mind. I want to thank you because you asked me before. I was like, Chris, I don't want to do this, but I'm glad that we circled back. We had a chance to talk, share some of my accolades with people that love and care. Thank you to my family that's out there, watching and supporting, because I always said, Janet Taylor's branch of the tree, like we like this. We tight. My family gonna show up. And I just want to thank you, Chris. Again, I want to
and they
thank
showed up too. They in here, and Michelle said you do the Taylor name proud.
you. That's right. Thank you.
Larry said
Love you,
great
sis.
interview. So it's important. It is important. And I appreciate it, and I'm glad that you said what's on your heart about the schools. It's on a lot of our hearts. And I agree with you that we do need to come together. I really want to do a segment where, and so Falcons, if you're out there, because I know some of you are out there, you're gonna come back and do this replay, and I'm gonna clip this part too and let you see it specifically. But let's come together. Let's do a segment where it's just us speaking our heart. They need to know that we're out here and that we are concerned. They need to know that we're going to come together. We have the resources. We are powerful. United we stand, divided we fall. We are in every profession out here, in every industry out here. We are out here, and they really can't outnumber us. So all we have to do is just come together. I mean, we have the power. We're just not using it. That's the bottom line. We're just not using it. We're being outsmarted, through emotions and all that other stuff. And we just need to just do what we have to do. It's real simple. But Gary, kudos to you for everything you've done. Keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you. And to anybody out there, if you have a story and you want to share your story, or you think somebody's a legend, you think somebody just had the story, I have an episode and a series. And please, 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 please subscribe to the channel. I might not be big like, Shannon and all those folk out there, but trust me, it's big. It's big what we're doing here because we're telling your stories. We're telling your stories that you may not be getting on the big network yet, but you never know where this is going to end up. So don't underestimate your girl, But Gary, I love you. Thank you for your time.
Love you back, sis.
I appreciate you. And let's get together soon. Let's get the people together for a segment of what's on the hearts and minds of the Falcon. I want to do a hearts and mind of the Falcon thing where we can get about 8 or 10 of us, and we just, we're not trying to air dirty laundry, but we're just trying. I mean, we already in the news anyway, so we might as well at least let it be known that we're here. We need to let it be known that we're here and that we're not going away. Period. But any closing comments?
Any closing comments? I always pray, Christian.
Okay, I'm all for that. I'm all for that.
It's okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, with God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, all praises are due to God, most gracious, most merciful, master of the day of judgment. Thee do we worship, and thine aid we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those who thine has bestowed thy grace, those whose portion is not wrath and who go not astray. Amen. And I love Allah. I love God.
Amen. Thank you, God. See you next time on Story Time. Listen, we'll be here tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. I'll be here with Tavis Evan. If you like to get your dance on and y'all follow me, I'm going to be doing some line dancing. I got an instructor that's going to teach you right from your living room. So tune in. Come on, subscribe right here on Story Time. See you next time. Thank you for joining. Good night, everybody.
Take care, Crystal. Thank you again.
Live.
Bye-bye.
Bye.